Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show. I'm with Jason Weinberger, and Jason is from futureproofagent.com. Jason, good morning or good afternoon. How you doing?
Hi, Ray. I'm great. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you very much for giving up some of your valuable time. I know you're a busy man, and I've been checking you out online and the stuff that you do, as I normally do, and a bit of research before an interview. And you have a lot going on, my friend. I want to get into something that's very dear to your heart and very dear to my heart, which is creating real estate leads or getting seller and buyer leads, I guess. Buyer leads probably more so in North America and Australia and New Zealand, where some of my market is from. It's a different thing. We don't want buyers as much. We only want sellers, but then many buyers can be sellers. So I find 20 to 30%, in fact, but that's probably another story for another day, or we might get into it. But first question, Jason, tell me about your real estate career in Toronto, because I know that you kind of developed these set of skills, I guess, and tell me how all of that happened.
Sure. So I've been a realtor for 15 years. I got licensed in 2007. I originally started out with Royal LePage. 3 years after Royal LePage, I moved my business over to Keller Williams. Fantastic company. I was with Keller Williams for 10 years. And then most recently, I moved over to EXP. That was September 2020. So I'm just coming up to my 15-year mark in the business. And when I got started, just like so many agents out there, I mean, I tried everything. I threw everything against the wall. I door knocked, I cold called, I spent most of my weekends sitting in open houses. I joined professional networking groups. And I like to say that I kind of found my internet geek and really embraced it with technology. So this was about probably my 6th or 7th year into my career, where the internet was really starting to transform every industry. I mean, from retail to transportation to accommodation. And I saw this massive tidal wave that was heading for the real estate industry.
Yep.
And I decided that I wanted to be riding that wave as opposed to underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really understood that technology would reshape how we communicated with our clients, how clients searched for properties, and just, how we would connect with prospects on a regular basis. So I hired a lead generation company initially that was providing me with leads in exchange for a monthly fee. It was about $400 or $500 a month. But the problem that I quickly discovered was that the leads were all over the map. I was working in downtown Toronto. That was my core niche. That's where I focused my business. And I was getting leads, 2-hour drive away, all 4 corners of the GTA, spending more time on the road than actually connecting with clients. So what I realized was that I had to take matters into my own hands and figure this out, because if I didn't figure out how to do it, I would always be at the mercy of someone else, of a lead provider or a marketing company.
Yep.
And I'm the type of person where I really like to control my own destiny. I think that's really important. So I started reading books. Somebody turned me on to a book initially called The Ultimate Guide to Google Ads by a guy named Perry Marshall. I read that book. I've always been an avid reader. And I was hooked because this guy had outlined a business model where I could essentially have people coming to me instead of knocking on doors desperately, never knowing where my next deal was coming from. I hated that feeling of rejection, of interrupting people who were trying to have dinner peacefully with their families. And here I was knocking on the door, being told no 1,000 times. And with Google Ads, I had discovered a business model where people could come to me. And that really appealed to me. It really intrigued me. So I was very inspired to learn more. Long story short, I went on to read about another dozen books or so on internet marketing, on Google Ads, on email marketing, and really how to, get in front of people online.
Yep.
And things started to happen. I started to get some traction. I started to get some signups on my website. Next thing I knew, I was generating, between 5 to 7 leads a day. And then I got up to about 10 leads a day. And from that point on, my business just started to really grow. I started to do a lot more volume. I started to show up on the top 10 list in my office of over 250 agents. And I essentially doubled my business within the next 12 months because of this business model. So I started to really, ramp it up. I started to get a lot of traction and things just started to click. I started to connect the dots.
Yep.
So essentially, I started to really apply it into my own business. And then once it was working, I just kept reinvesting. I kept growing it. I kept scaling it. And that kind of started me off on this journey.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a great story, and I like your initial idea to get involved and take control. It reminds me of that saying, if you don't have a plan, you're a part of somebody else's, kind of thing. So and I think
Absolutely.
that's very much the case in our game. Why do you think, and I know the answer to this, but I want to hear your answer because I think it'll be better than mine. Why can't agents generate their own leads?
Well, it's a great question. I think that agents can, but they're tired of the antiquated, old school, traditional forms of prospecting. Door knocking is a grind.
Yep.
I mean, I've done okay with door knocking, but it's tough. I mean, especially with Canadian winters, as it's weather dependent. It's hard to get up out of bed every day and go knock on a series of doors, people that you don't know, you have no relationship with, and to be able to do it consistently, because all that matters in entrepreneurism or as a realtor is what are you going to do consistently?
Yep.
It's not what are you going to do once in a while, what are you going to do when you feel like it, but what are you going to commit to and do it relentlessly. And a lot of agents don't have the patience or the willpower, frankly, to door knock or cold call. And referrals are great, but when the referral well runs dry, what do? They come when they come. I love referrals, but it's hard to really turn a dial. There's no lever that you can pull to be able to increase your referrals consistently and predictably. So I think one of the reasons why agents are looking for other options and vehicles is because they simply can't sustain the longevity of what it takes through traditional forms of prospecting.
Yep.
Or they just don't know where to start and they're looking for guidance. So they turn to all of these companies that offer, unlimited opportunity for a fraction of what they would expect to pay. And people are just confused. There's a lot of confusion out there in the marketplace. There's a lot of misinformation. And one of the things that I try and provide is something that I've personally experienced, through my own career, right? Being a realtor, I understand the pain points. I've been there. I understand, what doesn't work. And I've also tasted what does work on the digital marketing spectrum. So I feel like, it puts me in kind of a unique position to be able to help people because I am my avatar. I am my customer.
Yep. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? One of the huge issues with the old school prospecting style, door knocking or cold calling or even letterbox dropping or whatever it might be, it's impossible to scale because there are only so many hours in the day, and you can go out and knock 200 or 300 doors. You might find 3 sellers, you might find none, but there are other ways to skin this chicken, as they say. There are other options out there, and in this day and age, for us here in 2022, the digital marketing opportunities are phenomenal. So, which was a reason why I wanted to get you on the show.
Absolutely.
Tell me about, and I'm sure you've tried all of the different social media ideas, and you and I are having this discussion today, and it's the whole social media lineup of platforms is a moving target, and everything might be different within 30 days or 30 minutes from now. But what platforms have you found that are working well for you, and why?
So the 2 main platforms that I've had the most success with in terms of digital marketing are targeted Facebook ads and Google ads. So pay-per-click Google ads.
Yeah.
And the reason why they've been the most effective is frankly because they're the 2 giants. And, social media is just ubiquitous with everyone's day-to-day life, as is Google search.
Yeah.
So, when I first started exploring where I wanted to put in my effort, I mean, I'd rather be a specialist in a couple of areas than a jack of all trades. Sure. I think a big mistake agents make is, they fall into shiny object syndrome, where it's Instagram one day, and then it's YouTube TikTok the next day, then it's Facebook, and then it's Snapchat, and then it's LinkedIn. And the problem with that is each one of these platforms is incredibly nuanced, complex, and deep.
Mm.
So I'd rather go an inch wide and a mile deep than a mile wide and an inch deep. So I decided early on that I was going to pursue Google because Google just really blew me away. The fact that there was buyer intent. When people are searching on Google for, port credit homes for sale, that's someone who's, proactively searching for homes in a particular neighborhood.
Yep.
So if you think about the power of that, and now you're able to beat a path to your door for people that are not just looking for real estate, but they're now starting to narrow down the specific neighborhoods that they're interested in. Not only that, the type of home. You can show your ads to people on Google that are searching for 2-story King West lofts or Forest Hill luxury 4-bedroom homes or waterfront penthouse condos for sale or pre-construction condominiums. Like any niche that you can think of, there's a market for. And with Google, it allows you to really pinpoint those specific searches. So when I discovered that and I started to implement it and get results, I didn't want to do anything else because I didn't want to stop what was working. A big mistake realtors make is they have such short attention spans. They don't give something a long enough chance to let it breathe and let it kind of blossom. So I wanted to eliminate all distractions and really master Google. And that's what happened. So for 2.5 years, I doubled my business and then I doubled it again. So within almost 3 years, I doubled it twice just using Google Ads because I just kept reinvesting, doing more transactions, reinvesting, doing more. Then I got to the point where I scaled it to the point I couldn't keep up with the number of leads. I was generating about 30 leads a day. So I brought on referral partners in different neighborhoods and I was referring the leads out to neighborhood specialists.
Yep.
And we were splitting the commission. So I was able to leverage the business model. And to your point, it's infinitely scalable. The internet never sleeps. It's on 24/7.
Mm.
So that's what initially drew me to Google Ads. And then once I had that running really, really well, after about 2.5 years, that's when I dove into Facebook ads because Facebook ads is the other side of the spectrum. If you think about Google, it's sort of pull marketing. So you're reverse engineering, you're beating a path to your door for people already looking.
Yes.
Whereas Facebook is based on push marketing to specific audiences. So with Facebook, you can target people that are interested in single family homes, condominiums, townhomes, first-time buyers, mortgage loans. These are people that have specifically raised their hand about certain interests, pages that they've liked, groups that they've joined, etc. Now, Facebook works incredibly well when you're marketing an individual listing because it's visual.
Yep.
So whenever you have a listing, it makes sense to throw it on Facebook because you can really leverage it and you can generate some quick interest for people that are scrolling their newsfeed and see a property and they say, I like that kitchen. I like that floor plan. I like that view. Whereas Google is if you want to penetrate a market and become a neighborhood go-to specialist, because these are people that are looking for types of properties. Like if you want to niche yourself as a go-to luxury specialist, yep, or a waterfront condo specialist, or a neighborhood specialist like, Mineola, Hyde Park, Roncesvalles, any neighborhood you can think of. That's where Google is very powerful. But Facebook is good for leveraging leads off of a listing. And it doesn't have to be your own listing. You can advertise another agent's listing. And here in Toronto, as long as you get written consent that you can promote another agent's listing, you're fine.
Yep.
So that's kind of the backstory of how they can complement each other and why I chose to really kind of focus on those two primarily.
Okay. A lot of the marketing that I see far and wide is targeting buyers, which is kind of straightforward because you can have a gorgeous looking Toronto loft, or you can have a house in Port Credit or Mineola or wherever it might be. How do you target sellers? How do you get sellers?
So a lot of people, they put out free CMA ads trying to attract seller leads. The challenge with that is it's so played out, it's so generic, and the market is just tired of it, frankly. Yep. Free home evaluation. I mean, when I see that, I cringe, and I'm sure I'm not alone.
Hang on, so, are they free?
Well, I mean, nothing's free, right? At the end of the day, there's always an agenda, but essentially it's a lead-in offer, and that would make sense if it was personalized, right? So if you were to say, a free King West condo 2-bedroom unit evaluation,
Yeah.
now you're speaking someone's language because you're speaking to them, right? Or like, a free, Forest Hill neighborhood evaluation, right?
Go deeper with your niche.
Right. When you identify with your niche, that makes sense. But even that can be challenging. And the reason why is that the psychology of people looking for real estate information online is very different when you compare buyers versus sellers. You see, when people are shopping, they're excited. They turn to the internet because it's the fun part of the experience. Everybody loves to shop, whether it's Amazon, whether it's looking for a new car, or especially looking for your new home. So people love searching online for their next dream homes, viewing listings, looking at photos, watching virtual tours, because that's the emotionally engaging part. Selling is the complete opposite. People dread selling, right? It's a nuisance. It's very stress provoking. You have to think about decluttering, depersonalizing, all the sentimental value tied up in your home. It's stressful in terms of thinking about costs and laying out commission. So that's why when it comes to selling, it's a completely different psychology. And people, they don't generally turn to the internet when they're in selling mode. What they do is they turn to a friend, a neighbor, a colleague for a referral, or if they have a prior relationship with a realtor.
Yep.
But buying is the fun part. So everyone's researching. So what I've found is that the best way to generate seller interest and seller prospects is when you focus on buyer attraction marketing, but you use qualifiers in your headlines. So you call out your audience. For example, you could be advertising a beautiful 4-bedroom home in Roncesvalles, and the headline of your ad says, "Moving up, just listed, beautiful 4-bedroom home in prime Roncesvalles." So the very first thing people see, you're calling out your audience, because who's moving up? People that generally have homes to sell, right? Or you could say, looking to downsize.
Yes.
Beautiful 2-bedroom Queens Key condo, right? Yeah. So that's one way that you can focus on the buyer attraction. Again, the fun part, but you're using qualifiers to call out your ideal audience of existing homeowners. So that way you focus on the purchase initially, which is giving people what they want.
Yep.
But then you can leverage the listings on the back end as a byproduct. Yep. So you're going with the grain as opposed to against it.
Okay. Every answer you give me gives me about 10 more questions. Sorry about that.
I love it.
You mentioned Facebook before is an area that you're specializing in. And kind of a different market, isn't it? It's a different thing. There's a different thing going on there. Are you finding Facebook as effective as it was, 12, 18 months ago?
No. Okay. Facebook, the ad costs have gone up. Yep. There's some targeting restrictions, and it's not what it once was, but that doesn't mean that it's not an extremely effective vehicle. It is.
Yep.
You just have to have proper training and guidance. And it's all about the targeting. It's all about having a really compelling call to action.
Yes.
Having a really succinct, well-worded headline, and understanding the nuances within Facebook. So, about 2 years ago, it was a lot easier to get some quick traction. But I mean, at the end of the day, Facebook is so ubiquitous with everybody's day-to-day life. Yep. And you just want to go where everyone else is. So it is an absolute no-brainer for any digital marketing strategy. Now, that doesn't mean you should put all your eggs in one basket. Ultimately, you want to be able to diversify. You want to be able to use a couple of channels to spread around your strategy. Really, at the end of the day, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram, these are merely tools. But if any of these tools were to go away, you have to ask yourself, where would that leave you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always looking to spread the risk and diversify. Ultimately, the most valuable asset you can have as a real estate agent is your database.
I was about to get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the contact information, right?
Yeah. When you do your marketing, now, correct me if I'm wrong here, you show agents how to do their marketing. You're not like an agency that does it for them, are you? You train them on how to do their own?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, through all of my experience in my own career, I started doing training at my previous brokerage. I was on the training faculty with Keller Williams.
Yes.
And I started teaching some friends and colleagues how to do digital marketing because people were seeing my success. They were seeing that I was showing up on the top 10 list every month and they wanted to know what I was up to. So originally I was helping friends and colleagues with some free training for about 90 minutes. Well, that really started to grow. I was getting interest from other agents from other brokerages.
Yes.
With Keller Williams, we had an open door training policy. So agents from Remax, from Royal LePage, from Home Life would start to show up. The rooms kept getting bigger and bigger. Then I had an idea. What if I charged $100 for a 3.5 hour deep dive with live examples? Would people actually pay for this information? Like, was there a market here? And I was completely blown away where I put together my first live 3.5 hour paid event. And I sent out an Eventbrite email to every agent I knew and a ton of agents I didn't know. And I sold 30 tickets. I filled the room. That's when I realized that there was a real opportunity here to help others more seriously. So I went on to do 4 more paid sessions. Then I had people approaching me saying, Jason, I live in Mississauga. I live in Vaughan. I don't want to drive downtown to your office, parking, traffic. Do you have a webinar? And that's when it dawned on me that I had to take this whole concept online.
Yep.
So fast forward a year and a half, I developed an online training course and coaching program, which became Future Proof Agent. I launched the business in August 2018. And I'm proud to say that we've got just under 250 students. We're across 3 countries. We're throughout Canada, the US, and Dubai.
Nice.
So I coach and train realtors on digital marketing through all of my own experience that I've had with these tools. And it's really been growing quite a bit, especially over the last couple of years since the pandemic hit, because agents have found themselves kind of limited with other traditional forms of prospecting.
Yeah. It's an interesting point, isn't it? And there are those that want it done for them, and there are those that are happy to roll up their sleeves and learn. And I'm a roll up your sleeves and learn guy like you are, because I can really. It's like driving the car yourself or having somebody drive you. If you don't drive the car yourself, you never get to experience it. You never know what it's like. You never know. You never learn. You don't discover stuff. And I find if I can do it myself, and I can learn about the process. And am I going to make mistakes? 100%. Of course I am. But I'm going to learn from them, and I'm going to test. I'm going to change. But it's such an exciting opportunity right now. We are alive and well in the digital age with all the stuff that's going on around us, and businesses are thriving. COVID has changed our whole world so much, and I guess you're probably a little bit like me. When COVID came along, you thought, "Oh bugger!" Then you thought, "Oh, hang on a minute, hello, this is perfect."
There's silver lining in everything.
There is, isn't there? But it's just been such a game changer, and our market, when I say our, I mean you and me as let's put on our real estate agent hats. Our markets are online. Our markets are touring social media and looking at the platforms. They're Googling lofts in Toronto and that sort of thing. They're getting very specific because they know that they can search so well. Have you dipped your toe in the Google and YouTube being under the one roof? Have you dipped your toe in the YouTube market as yet? Is there an opportunity there?
Yeah, I'm definitely starting to learn more about YouTube. Yep. I do think that YouTube and YouTube ads are where things are heading.
Yeah.
I think that, it is definitely something that every agent should have in their arsenal. So I'm not comfortable teaching something until I've mastered it first. Okay. I think, to be honest with you, one of the things that bothers me about the online coaching space is there's a lot of hypocrites who, they put out a course teaching somebody how to do something, but they haven't actually done it themselves.
Yeah.
And in order for me to feel comfortable and in full integrity to teach somebody something, I have to be able to really run it through the ringer and have some success on my end. And that takes time. Yeah. Right. That takes a lot of time. It takes testing, it takes refinement, and it takes a ton of trial and error. So when I, went through my journey with digital marketing, I had to really fail my way forward to get to a point where I felt comfortable enough that I can actually teach this to somebody confidently and know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So I'm starting to dabble with YouTube, but it's still going to be a while until I think I get to the point where I can really embrace it and then start to offer some training on it to others.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Well, we'll definitely watch this space to see what happens there, because I agree. I think it's a flourishing avenue for us in our industry, and it's and I'd say to people listening to this show, I mean, it's going to happen in your area. Are you going to be the agent who can roll it out and profit from it by helping sellers in your area? Let me finish up with a question. It's probably not the fun stuff, but I think it's the heavy lifting where a lot of the dirt can be found in the diamonds. But following up the lead, what kind of follow-up do you recommend? Because I heard a stat somewhere, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, and I forget where I heard it, but the average amount of time between when somebody first contacts their agent to go on the market and when they actually do go on the market is about a year, or 11 and a half months or something, I've been told. I've seen that stat a few times. But let's just accept that it's a period of time. What kind of follow-up strategies do you favor? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. So it's a great question, and it's a very important question, because this is the part of the process that is wildly misunderstood. People think that, they feed a machine with a few bucks, they get some leads, and that the homes are just going to sell themselves and they can just sit back on autopilot.
Yeah.
Now, I do feel like automation is very important. So I teach my student community about email automation, video marketing, bomb integration. Twilio text messaging is very powerful. But at the end of the day, your number one most powerful tool for converting leads into clients is this right here. It's called a phone. Now, there are so many agents who are so reluctant to get on the phone and call people. And frankly, if you're scared of the phone, you should not be in sales, because nothing is more important than getting on the phone, and getting on the phone religiously every single day. I understand that some people screen your calls and you get a lot of voicemails, but at the end of the day, we're in sales and we need to be able to communicate with people. And not only that, but it's been proven statistically that if you call a lead within 5 minutes of them registering on your site, your chances of converting go up by about 10x. So there's a 5-minute window.
Now, you've shared a lot of gold on this little call, but I think that is probably right up there in the top 1 or 2 or 3. And so thank you for saying that. I think that's absolutely golden. Glad to hear that.
You're welcome. And it's important because a lot of agents, I speak to them all the time, they just rely on automated email campaigns and text messaging, and they hide behind the tech. The tech is simply a tool to be able to move that relationship forward. So it starts with the technology, or door knocking, or cold calling, or whatever you're doing. But ultimately, if you can't set an appointment, then it's all in vague. There's no point doing any of it, right? So getting on the phone, booking an orientation tour, booking a Zoom first-time buyer consultation, booking a seller orientation listing appointment, whatever you're doing, the goal is always to filter, qualify, and book the appointment. If there's one thing I'm going to leave your viewers with, those are the 3 key points: filter, qualify, book the appointment. That's really it. That's the recipe for how to win with this stuff. And if you're not doing that every day, it doesn't matter how many leads you're generating, right? Because as you know, it's a numbers game, and you have to be able to take it seriously in terms of your commitment. Otherwise, you're just wasting money, frankly, and you're not going to realize a return, or you're going to leave a ton of money on the table. Yeah.
It's interesting you talk about the telephone, but our younger friends, the younger generation, starting to sound like my father, but the younger generation are absolutely petrified of talking on the phone. I ring my kids and they're in their 20s, and Dad, what's going on? Is everything okay? Yeah, I just wanted to hear your voice. Call me old-fashioned. Oh, okay. You didn't get my message? I said, yeah, of course I did, but I just wanted to chat. So it was like I'm from outer space or something. So So anyway, let's hope that the art of the phone call doesn't go away, because I like jumping on the phone. I like hearing somebody's voice. You talked about BombBomb before, where you can package up a little very, very quickly and easily package up a little video message. So powerful,
Yeah.
and another awesome point of contact.
Yeah, BombBomb is amazing. It's a fantastic tool. You know, whenever you can replace text messaging or text email with a video, it's a no-brainer. The thing that's dominating social media channels is video, like between stories and organic posts. And whenever you can communicate with people via video, you know, you're going to have a much higher success rate, because you can really weave your personality into the experience. You know, it's not enough to be able to just touch people, but how are you touching them? Are you showing up as your authentic self? Are you adding value to the experience? Are you speaking competently about the market? Are you coming from contribution? You know, it's always about adding value to the experience and making sure that you give people a reason to engage with you. And nothing does that more powerfully than video, other than the phone call. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big video fan. I use it religiously in my business. I teach my students how to incorporate video consistently. And there's also some really powerful like email automation, you know, check-ins that you can use. Like I call them like conversational emails. It's like the mom test. How would you speak to your mom if you were checking in on her real estate search? You don't want to be overly formal. You don't want to be corporate sounding. You just want to end with like bite-sized, open-ended questions. Like, hi, Ray, just checking in, wondering what you thought of the listings I've been sending you. Did you want to change any of the criteria? Right?
Just
hey, Ray, just
engaging stuff.
Yeah, what was your time frame again? Right. And I teach people how to automate that and put into a sequence where you can have them going out. In fact, while we're doing this podcast, I have, you know, thousands of people being emailed because it gets scheduled ahead of time and then it just goes out like clockwork. So that stuff's great too. But the point is, nothing should ever replace the phone. In fact, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Fanatical Prospecting by a guy named, I don't know if you can see that.
Just focus out a little bit. Just put it back beside your head there. It's all gone blurry.
Yeah, because I've got the background blurred.
But I'm going to find out read the author out, Jason. Who's the author?
It's Jeb Blount, JEBBLOUNT. And this is a fantastic read. He's like a top sales performer in the US. He's got a massively successful coaching company. And he talks about the importance of just getting on the phone, prospecting every day, and just being relentless. And I really embrace that philosophy. I'm always a student. I'm always learning. I'm always reading, always trying to sharpen my skill set. So I just finished reading that one. And that would be actually a great read for your audience, I think.
Yeah, I think it would be too. Well, I really love your what's the word? The hunger, the energy. You sound to me like you're a terrific real estate agent and you're a even better trainer. If anybody wants any of your free training, I know you got a link, and I'm going to put this link in the show notes, guys. So don't swerve off the freeway or stop walking your dog, but free-training.futureproofagent.com. It's free-training.futureproofagent.com. I've been with Jason Weinberger from Future Proof Agent. Jason, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much, Ray. I really appreciate you having me on.
Hang around for 1 second when I'm going to just press stop. Hang around. I'll talk. Hang on 1 sec. Thanks so much.